All right. Having some focus issues. Not sure what that's about. Yeah, we'll figure it out though. Maybe once I get the work going on here. All right. So I am neck deep in some thumbnails for the next issue of the Schlub, and I cannot show anybody that. So tonight I am gonna just doodle a little because I need a break from thumbnailing. I do almost all my thumbnails on an iPad, and I really prefer working on paper. So you know, it's nice to have a little break in there. Plus, the iPad always needs to recharge. So all right. So I think what I want to do is something on a 6x9. I kind of wanted to draw Venom, but see what comes out here. Who knows? Come on, focus. There we go. I guess I should say like and subscribe, hit the bell, all those things. All right. I've been wanting to draw Venom. He's one of my go-to fun guys to draw. I like to play around a little cartoonier lately when I'm doing sketches and kind of the smaller commissions. Just kind of see if I can exaggerate a little more than I do in some of my sequentials. And Venom, kind of like Cable, is one of those characters that you can sort of just goof around with because the design is so good and iconic, and like there's so many touch points of things you can exaggerate that he's a fun one to play with. Hello there, Mateus. Thanks for joining in. Pretty loose stream tonight, just goofing off. Might end up with something in ink, we'll see. Kind of a break from thumbnailing. So I'm drawing to take a break from drawing. It's a different muscle, so. That's kind of nice right there. That might be something. maybe right there. When I'm thumbnailing, a lot of it is just figuring out poses and angles and stuff. But it's always in service to a specific thing that's happening in the script, with the characters, and that's really fun and awesome and challenging. But sometimes when I take a break from that, I just kind of draw without, I don't. Right at this moment, I don't have like a story in mind or something with this drawing. I'm just sort of seeing what looks cool, and then building on that, or not. Sometimes nothing good comes out of this other than just getting some loose sketches out of my system. That's kind of cool too. I don't know if I should go with a close-up on his face or something with more body in it. I don't do a lot of just faces, honestly. Maybe I should do more of those. Hey Ryan, thanks for saying hi, man. Hope things are well in everybody's world this evening. You never know. The world is crazy and relentless, but also amazing. I was drawn with my kid earlier. She always wants to. She's like, I want to come work like you work, and so she wants to come and draw at the table. And it's really fun. She sits on my lap, and tonight we practiced some letters and worked on some cards for grandmas for Mother's Day. Kids they're not really shy about their drawing, like you get when you get older and when you get like nervous about whether it looks good. We should all be that confident. Oh, okay, Brunson. Thumbnails, yes, they are very important. I would say I feel I got a lot better at my comics got a lot better when I started spending a little more time on my thumbnails. There's something to be said for just freeforming it, that's really fun and a different way of creating. But when I'm working from a script or something that's a little more long form, I just have to thumbnail it out because I like to know and think about the flow of things from page to page and pacing and all that. Whereas if I'm doing a mini, I might just kind of go for it and see what happens, which is fun and has some cool results sometimes. I don't know, I'm kind of liking this face. Should I just do a face? We'll see what happens here. What if I stick a hand in here? And honestly, thumbnailing digitally has been really good for me. Before I did it digitally, I would make a little, I would just fold the paper in half and make a little booklet and sort of go through it like that. And then when I started using those more and more, I was blowing those up in the computer and then tracing them onto my paper, my final paper. And so now I'm to the point where I'm starting digitally, with the iPad, and then I'll print that out in blue line, and then I work my pencils and inks on top of that. And right now that's been a good method for me. I'm sure I'll change it again at some point, but it's really good for me for doing, the sort of work I'm doing now, sort of superhero stories that are, like with a lot of action and stuff like that, with a script by somebody that's not me, because then I need to have that flexibility that digital gives me. If I had to work on paper with my thumbs, I probably could, or I could just go straight to paper after doing thumbs, but there's some nice things about digital tools. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not one of those people that's like never use digital, but I do still tend to do most of my, the most of the work happens on paper. But I do definitely do a lot of digital for thumbnails. The very few, I don't know if there's been maybe 1 or 2 times, well, maybe 3 or 4 times I've done something that has been 100% digital with no paper element to the creation of it. And you know, I still, since I don't normally work that way, I haven't loved the results as much. I mean, they turned out fine. They weren't, I'm not embarrassed by the drawings I did. Those it was a couple illustration gigs I did digitally. But I do think I prefer paper whenever possible. I'm kind of thinking this one. I do like this, but I want it to seem. I'm trying to fill the paper on these 6x9s. Let's see what happens. Let's just go for it. This focus tonight, guys, I don't know what the deal is with this focus. Just gonna tape this up since I can't get on top of it. I started a Venom the other night, but I don't know if it was that I didn't like it or if I was just like, this is too much work. I'll show it to y'all. I started it sort of like a small Venom on the kind of jumping through the city, but I don't know, something I wanted this I would like this maybe if it was a 9x12 or 11x17. I feel like I don't want the figure that small right now. That's just not what I want to draw. So well, I've read, well, that's not true. I honestly have not read all of this. I've looked through it mostly for the art. I read the first issue. I didn't love the writing. It was fine, but the art, there's a lot of cool things to learn from it. So I've been I've looked through it 100 times probably, but I didn't read the rest of it yet. I will at some point. I'm terrible. I don't know what I'm talking about here. It's a good book. Don't get me wrong. It's good. It's funny. I read comics less now than I probably ever have before in my life. Now that I'm drawing them, I feel like I'm reading them less, which is sort of a bummer. But I haven't been good about reading stuff lately. I read my friends' stuff for sure. And then occasionally I'll catch something else. Like I actually still haven't finished the last issue of Doctor Strange Fall Sunrise yet. That's how bad I am. And that's like the book I'm most excited about right now. So this is the tricky part. Can I get that energy from there onto here, or am I going to have to trace it? Well, I don't know if the size is going to be right. We'll see what happens though. This is for fun, so funsies, as they say. Maybe if I have it under here instead. yeah, my friend Brunson, my friend, a couple of my friends who do comics are much better at staying on top of it. The writer on the Schlub that I work with, Kenny Porter, he reads everything. He's really up to date on a lot of stuff that I just have not had the time to read, and he reads a lot of old stuff. And then same thing with, if you guys know Riley Rossmo, he is a very well-read comic artist. Those two are always like, if I'm like, is this any good? I'll ask them first because they've probably read it. I'd like to blame it that Kenny doesn't have a child, but Riley does, and he still somehow finds a way to read comics. So I guess that's not a good excuse anymore. We might go big and goofy on this one, guys. I tend to like the bigger, more monstery renditions of Venom over the more realistic ones, or more, I guess, naturally proportioned ones. I feel like if it's an alien, it should look kind of alien. That's sort of my logic. It's also just more fun to draw that way. But I don't know, is there anything I should be reading? I don't know. I've heard there's a lot of good stuff going on right now. I know it's funny, like I said, I read my friends' stuff, and I do think there's a lot of really great comics being made right now. There's a lot of garbage too, I'm sure, but I tend to just focus on the good stuff if I can. Yeah, we'll get gross with this one. See what happens here. I don't know if any of that tracks. It looks... It's so hard to tell what this kind of thing would look like to someone else. And I'm also maybe going to mess around with some letters up here. Those, but yeah, no, I thanks for asking. I'm currently working on a book called The Schlub with Ryan Stegman and Kenny Porter, and that is coming out soon. There will be an announcement soon about when that's coming out. So yes, that has been all my year pretty much, has been working on that book. Very excited about it. It's going to be awesome. I'm hopefully within the next week or two I'll be able to announce all the full details about it, and show some preview art. I'm definitely going to, as soon as it is in the previews catalog, I'll be for sure posting or doing maybe something on here on my live stream to show off something, or to do something to give everybody a sneak peek if they tune in for it. So. And then after that, we'll see. I've always got a few irons in the fire. One of the big projects is to finish the third issue of my comic Eris. So I've partially thumbnailed that, and the script is all done. So that's another thing on the docket for me. Yeah, I'm excited for everyone to see it, Brunson. It's hard for me not to talk about it. I've been working on it for so long, and I want to tell the world. So hopefully soon there'll be the announcement of release date and order number and all that. I'll show off some art on here when that happens. And somehow I lost the teeth in here. I don't know what I did, but they don't look good. Let me just redo these real quick, and then I'll stick some ink on this. Make it a super quick one. I think I gotta make them a little more uneven, I'm always trying to make things too straight and even. Gotta like force myself to be crooked sometimes. Alright, that's not bad. Alright. Oh, thanks. I'm glad you picked that up, Game Over Man. Thanks for picking that up, Bronson. That one was a lot of fun. I actually just had to reorder prints. I ran out, so I'll have a brand new printing of it in time for Cake Chicago, which is the next show I'm doing. That's in June, and then I'll have those hopefully also at Heroes Con in North Carolina. So anybody who hasn't gotten it yet can pick it up there. It's currently out of stock on my website, though. Getting some drool in here to start with, actually. Slobber. Love all the slobber. Yeah, definitely come out to Chicago for the cake. It is an awesome show. We have not had it in a long time. I'm one of the organizers of the show this year. It's been really hard to get it going since COVID, but this year we are back. We're going to be at the Broadway Armory. We've got some awesome guests, and just it's just always one of the best shows in my opinion. I'm a big part of I consider myself a part of the kind of the indie community, the self-published community, and I think Cake is one of the best shows in that, if not the best show in that thing. I'm a little partial, and this year I feel weird because I am an organizer, but I do think it's a great show. But yeah, we got some cool people there. MS Harkness, Durf Backdurf, Mari Naomi, Joy San. Really cool artists are going to be there, so I definitely recommend anybody come out for it. And of course, I'll be there. I was gonna actually, but instead of doodling tonight, I was actually just gonna show off some mini comics because I love mini comics and I collect a lot of self-published mini comics, and a lot of those I end up getting at shows like Cake. So I feel like if anybody is a true comic fan and reader, they don't just read one type of comic. You got to sort of explore all the different stuff that's out there, and Cake is a great place to find stuff you've never heard of before, artists you maybe haven't heard of that you're going to fall in love with. There's always a lot of great people at the show. I always say that every year at Cake I discover some person I never heard of before that is just blows my mind. This is usually how I start inking stuff like this, is pretty loose, and then I erase a lot of my pencil lines and then go back in and figure out where everything goes, render it out. That's what I'll do now. Oh man, here, I gotta go get a drink of water. Oh yeah, gotta hydrate. Okay, if you do come by Cake though, Ronson, definitely say hi. I should be tabling next to my pal Landis Blair and some other great artists. Haven't really decided with those letters yet. Yeah, I was using a zebra. I think this is the medium or the fine brush pen tip. I like those a lot. They lose their tip a little too quick and start to die pretty fast, but when they're in that perfect spot before they're dead and a little bit after they're opened, they're magical. So I use those a lot, especially for like more detailed stuff, or when I'm cleaning up corners and edges on things, on like figures, or if I'm drawing smaller figures, like tiny figures in the middle of a page or something. Okay, so I'm gonna give him light. Where am I gonna give him light from? Maybe top. Oh well, let's figure it out. Let's go for it. Let's just go for it. What's the worst that could happen? Yeah, those are great pens, man. And this is a Pentel pocket brush, so here's the other go-to tool in my arsenal here. I would say those two pens, this and the other one, are probably what I do the majority of my work with right now. I use other things, but these are sort of the defaults. So I'm just guessing here. We'll see how this turns out. If it's bad, just don't tell anybody, okay? The craziest commission? I don't know. I'm not sure what you mean by crazy, but I don't know. I mean, they're all fun. Um, if you mean crazy, like awesome, I don't know if I could pick one. That's I don't know if I could pick one. Um, some have been very time consuming. There's been a few I'm happy with how they turned out, but they were challenging. There was a Yondu one I did. I remember that was a bit of a challenge. I kind of gave myself where I drew the arrow, kind of going through all the different people on that spaceship getting killed. That one took a while, but I think it turned out all right. Um, Sometimes they're just annoying, not annoying. They're just crazy because I just can't figure it out. It'll take me a long time sometimes to figure them out. I don't know. The craziest commission I'm going to do is probably whatever one's next, is what I usually am thinking. I'm always thinking, how can the next one be better, So I'm always trying to kind of one up myself. There's a few on my list right now that I'm excited to get to. The ones I've been doing this list have been really fun. All the X-Men ones are a blast, and people seem to really dig them that get them because it's like their favorite characters, which is cool. The idea of building the X-Men team has been a lot of fun. I'm glad I started doing those ones. Finding it here a little bit. It's kind of a fun size to work at, the 6x9. It's kind of cool. This is usually the size I do for like at show pieces, because it's a little more manageable to work on. Because the show is always kind of busy, so bringing big paper is sort of a hassle. But also, I'm more likely to finish it at the show if it's this size. All right, that's a good start. Thinking I want to do this render a little different here though. Oh, the weirdest though. Weirdest commission. Um, I haven't had a lot of like weirdo ones. Like I don't think that I maybe attract that clientele. I haven't done any furries or anything like that. But great. Let's see, weirdest. Um, Sometimes those are the ones I don't post because I don't want to do more of them. I've done a couple family portraits, which I really don't enjoy doing. If it's for friends, it's kind of fun because I know them, but I definitely am not wanting to get into the game of doing that for strangers. I did one. I've done two of people's dogs, which was nice because it meant a lot to them. But that's another game I don't want to get into. Um, yeah, those are the ones I can think of. I did a cyborg He-Man one time. That was interesting. Um, but yeah, it's like I try to if I my logic is if I do the kind of work that I want to do and I think I'm good at, I'll get more of that kind of work. So I think when people see my commissions, they generally are going to ask me to draw the kind of thing that I'm either that I like already or that I would be interested in if once I knew about it, which is pretty nice. Like if somebody asked me to draw something, you know, that's not comic book related, it's not like I would necessarily say no, but I think people see that I do comics and they tend to want that kind of thing. All right, let's look at these letters again. See, I like that. I like that. Something's not working with this E though. Ah, there we go. Let's. If I bring it up. Maybe not. good enough for a doodle. I don't know. Something here. All right. Yeah, Bronson, yeah. I definitely look at a lot of things while I'm working or to get inspiration outside of work time, so I feel you there. Lately I've been, Buddy let me borrow some apple seed, so I've been looking through that. It's pretty cool. The other day I was looking at some big guy in Rusty, because I've been doing some giant like battle scenes in Schlub, and so I was sort of looking at how different people, Heron, Dan, how different people do sort of big battles, trying to take in some of their styles, or not their style, but their like solutions for things, or how they approach it. I think it's good to look at what other folks are doing. It gives you ideas of your own. It's definitely not a situation of copying people as much as it's like trying to internalize whatever it is that they did and sort of make it work for you. All right. Get out of here. All right. Some white out. This is probably too dry, isn't it? Oh no, it's perfect. It's perfect. I like to use white intentionally. I don't only use it for mistakes. It's kind of fun to, if you're drawing big shapes and stuff, it's nice to just kind of go with your pen or whatever, and then get that nice connected line, and then you can go back and knock out the spots where you don't want it. and it makes everything feel a little more fluid and bouncy is sort of the goal when I do that. Instead of like trying to stop at every moment that there's a, an interruption to the shape. And then same thing with all this drool. Instead of trying to avoid it carefully at every step, just sort of getting it in there loosely, avoid it where you can, and then you can go back in and define it with the white a little bit. Some of my favorite artists at the moment. Well, the people I'm looking at the most right now, so I guess it's like there's a lot of people I look at sort of as research or inspiration for whatever I'm working on. So I guess they'd be a lot of my favorites. So right now I'm looking at a lot of Trad Moore. I've loved Trad for a long time. I am looking at a lot of Michael Golden and Jason Pearson. I think they're very awesome visually, the way they balance, lights and darks and shapes and the cartooniness of their work, but there's still a lot of technical drawings in there, so they're great. Been looking at Jim Lee a lot again, a lot of his X-Men stuff, his older X-Men stuff, Uncanny. Brian Hitch, I've been looking at Hitch lately for battle scenes that I'm working on as sort of inspiration. He did a lot of crazy stuff back in The Authority is what I've been looking at from Hitch. Oh, and Chris Spicello, I'm looking at him a lot lately too. I love the way he abstracts figures and does wacky page layouts, and his stuff has always been fun. There's been such a cool evolution to his work over time too. Like I remember falling in love with his stuff back on what was it called, Generation X, and then the stuff he was just doing on Nonstop Spider-Man was pretty phenomenal. So yeah, those are some of the big ones right at the moment. I'm very excited for the Michael Golden Artist Edition that's coming out. Already pre-ordered that. I would say I rotate through a lot of different artists while I'm, like they're all favorites, and I just look at different ones at different moments in time. Otomo, of course, is another one that I look at quite a bit. I'll have to do a studio tour one of these nights, and I've got some Akira or Otomo posters hanging up and some other stuff I can show. Not tonight though, because I don't want to unhook this camera, and I don't have the other one running at the moment. guys looking at lately? What artists are y'all excited about? Maybe there's somebody I don't know about. All right. Whoops. Yeah, no. All right. Tell me who you're looking at. I gotta go rinse this brush off, and I can wrap this bad boy up. All right. Here we go. Also, I'm thinking I'm probably going to put some zip tone on this. I'm just trying to decide where I want to put it. Well, might as well just clean this part up first. Oh, well, I'm glad I'm on the list. Thank you very much. D-Dubs, that's my homie. Daniel's my buddy. I got his book over here, too. I've been looking at Extremity for some battle inspiration. This is still probably one of my favorite things from him. And I've known Dan a long time. It's very good. What else good on there? Heron, yeah, Heron's great. Paul Pope. Kevin Anthony Catalan. I don't know that person. I'll have to look them up. Yeah, James Mateus. Mateus is awesome. Fujimoto's awesome. Yeah, those are some great choices, guys. I think I'm losing some of the motion of this tongue here. I gotta get some direction back in here. That's what I'm talking about. Anybody can hear that. I don't know what the hell my wife is watching in the other room. The joys of an at-home studio. But it allows me to have those great drawing days with my daughter, which is awesome. So no complaints. Mateus Bergara, the way he handles, the washes and stuff is something I've never been able to wrap my head around. But yeah, that Step by Bloody Step book was pretty great. His commissions are great. Actually, I think I was over at Dan's house, and he has a Bergara, a couple pieces by him. I think he has a Cherno Alpha by him, but I feel like there's something else he did for him. They're very nice pieces. Just as pristine and perfect in real life, which kind of blew me away. You know, you see a post of an artist, and sometimes you're not sure. You know, it's always fun to see stuff in person because you can really see how they constructed it. Like if people saw this in real life, they'd see how messy it looks. But you know, it might look pretty clean when you post it or when you scan it, which is cool. Corbin, yeah, Corbin's great. I was just talking about Corbin the other day with some friends. He just somehow he's amazing because his stuff is so strange looking, and the figures are like mutants, you know, but it's also simultaneously like beautiful and powerful, and you know he can do color, and he can do black and white, and he can do, you know, horror, and he can do sci-fi, and he can do fantasy. I mean, he's one of the all-time greats, man. I don't know if I've ever seen any Corbin pieces in real life. I'm trying to think where I would have. If it would be them anywhere, it would have been at a show. But I don't know. I feel like if in my head, I feel like I would remember if I had seen a Corbin piece. If anything, it would have been a sketch or something, not a full page. Someday, maybe someday, I can cop one of those, or at least drool at it at someone else's house. Brunson, what tips would I give to someone who wants to make a black and white comic? Well, make a black and white comic. No, for real though. Keep it short, keep it simple, make it something that you can finish. The hardest thing to do is to finish something, and so if you can start by making a project that you can actually finish, that you're comfortable with the things you're drawing, instead of trying to do stuff maybe you're not comfortable with, or tell a story that's super long. So doing something like what I do with the Inktober challenges is not a bad idea, to where you force yourself to draw, you know, like a page or a panel a day. It doesn't have to be a whole page if you know, you feel like you're a slow drawer. But yeah, the biggest thing I always tell everybody is, like, you got to make comics to learn how to make comics, and you got to start small. You know, don't think your first book is going to be some graphic novel fantasy story with all these characters and this world building and all this crap. You know, like, that stuff's great and fun, but it ain't making comics. If so, you know, it gives you, you know, it's so fun to build your characters and your world and everything, but to actually draw the comic is a whole nother story. So start small. Start small and keep it simple. And as you go along, the more books you do, the more complicated you can get, the more things you can try. Because then you'll have a better understanding of sort of the basic engine of how comics work. Because the best story in the world doesn't necessarily make the best comic in the world if you don't know how to use the medium. And then I would say study, study other people, see what they do, look at a lot of black and white art. Um, if you're set on it being black and white, then I would say look at stuff like the Hernandez brothers, look at stuff like Corbin even, look at stuff like Sin City is not a bad thing to study if you're looking to do black and white. Look at a lot of indie and self-published stuff. There's a lot of cool black and white, clean line style things out there. And then print it up and get it out into the world. Put it in a store. Put it on consignment. Sell it on your website. Put it online. If you don't do that too, you're really not making comics, because comics are not really, in my opinion, made to. I don't think any art is really made to sit on somebody's shelf and only be seen by that person. I think it's for the world. So, get your art out there in front of people so they can see it, and then their reactions will help you to understand what you did well and what you maybe should improve upon. You won't get better if you don't put it in the world, is sort of the way I think about it. And you don't have to listen to what everyone says. I mean, some people are stupid, they don't know what they're talking about. but at least you'll know what they're saying. So yeah, Corbin does some sweet stuff on Hellboy, man. That is really cool. I like his stuff on Hellboy. I actually really loved his Punisher the End story. I thought that was so rad and so different. He did a Bigfoot story one time with Rob Zombie, I think, and that was pretty wild. Of course, Den is sort of the classic Corbin. Oh, Aliens Alchemy, that Alien comic he did at Dark Horse was so cool. Just rattling off Corbin comics now. That's always what ends up happening when I talk about artists. Just like, oh yeah, that one. Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, I feel like he's the kind of artist too that once you start making stuff yourself, your appreciation level for all artists goes up, but especially for people like Corbin that just sort of can do it all. You talk to any professional comic artist, I guarantee they will know Corbin and probably have learned something just from looking at his work. Okay, I think I'm getting close here. I think I am going to put some screen tones down. And heck, maybe I'll do it here on the stream. What do you think? And then I got to go thumbnail some more. That's the other thing about making comics. It's kind of time consuming. It's an all day, all night thing a lot of the time. Well, I feel like it's a little river. Oh, shit. Sorry about that, guys. Apologize for my French. Just nabbed my tip on there. Tip of this pen. How do I balance life and comics? You know, man. I'm working on it. You know, you got to keep. I try to keep a schedule to some degree that is consistent, and there's some times that I keep sacred for family time and lifetime. So, you know, and I try to not budge on those things, even if I have a deadline. I mean, there's occasions while I'll budge on one or two things that I've scheduled, but for example, you know, we eat dinner. My wife and my daughter and I try to eat dinner together every night, unless one of us is out of town or something. And between dinner and my kids' bedtime, we tend to keep that as family time. And then same thing on Sundays. We tend to take the day off as much as we can. There's occasions where we got to shoot an email out or something or run a quick errand, but we try to keep those days for family hangouts. And then Sunday nights, I have a movie club that I do digitally with some friends. It's very important to me. We watch terrible movies. And then Wednesdays, I let myself play video games for an hour or two at night. So those are my sort of me time things. Oh, and I go for a walk. I always go for a walk by myself in the morning on the weekends. And those things all help. And then my wife and I are trying to get better about leaving the house together and getting a babysitter more often. It's a tricky balance to find when you're a new parent, so we're still working on it. But those are some of the things we do. And then when I do comics, I try to occasionally do them with friends. So, you know, get together and draw and hang out, or I talk on Skype or Google or some, whatever, Zoom with whoever else is working on that day. It's nice to get online and talk to them. So that's actually part of my balance too, is making my comics work. Also, it's similar, connected to my social life in some ways. Because honestly, I don't have time to hang out with everybody unless some of them are comics people. So also, they just understand the nonsense that is drawing comics. All right, let me go find some tones and hues. I'm going to go through these way too fast. Can't get enough. Let's see. No. I just got these. I feel like I'm already almost out of them. Oh, there we go. There's some. Okay. Let me try this one. And give me that. All right. Gotta clean my studio, man. It's a mess. Okay. I think I'm gonna put it on the background. I guess I could put it on Venom. Let's see. Now that I have this here, I don't know if I like it. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do that one. Change my mind. All right. Just go for it, right? Just go for it. Well, this one must be good luck. It's 420, so. See if my blade's got any juice left in it. If I cut my finger off on here, you guys will call the doctors, right? I don't know if I planned this correctly, but let's see what happens. Yeah, you gotta be careful with these blades, man. I've seen some injuries. I have seen some injuries. In theory, I would be cutting my left hand, though, so I guess that's a... better than my right, I guess. A couple of months ago, or maybe it was 3 or 4 months ago, I burned my thumb real bad, or I cut my thumb real bad on a, it was like a mandolin slicer. I wasn't even using it. I was just pulling it out of the dishwasher, and it just took a chunk right out of my thumb. It was bleeding everywhere. I was watching my kid, and she was like, "What's going on?" I was like, "It's fine, it's fine." I'll be cleaning up zip tone scraps for the next 2 weeks. It's always everywhere. I haven't decided on the letters yet, so I'm cutting the tongue out to see if I want to knock those out too, or not. This is what I mean by not having a plan. I'm just going to see what happens. Maybe I should have just put it on the letters. Yeah, we'll see. Trial and error sometimes. Also, this is just for fun. But I'm kind of liking it, so. I think well, yeah. Sure, let's hide it back there. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, it's kind of nice. Well, there we go. Thought I was gonna have to change blades here. It's a little dull. It's a little dull, but hey, we'll run with it. Okay, let's see. I don't know. Maybe a light tone. I think that'll do it then. One more. Let's see if I got a lighter one in here. Just something to bounce that top a little bit. Or the tongue. I think the solution is probably to lose the stuff around the letters. So we'll do that. Bummer. Whatever. Live and learn. Let's see what kind of energy I can muster after this, man. Running out of steam. I was hoping to go to the blood incantation show tonight at the Metro, but unfortunately we had some double booking issues with family here, so I was not able to attend. So if you're someone watching this later and you were at the blood incantation show, let me know in the comments how the show was. I love those guys. They're so wild. They're so crazy. Singing about aliens and stuff. I'm for it. I'm all there for it. Just shout. Yeah, I think they were playing with obituary, which I'm not as into obituary, but I would still like to see them live. You know, that'd be cool. It's been hard to get out to shows since having the kid, and COVID hitting kind of stopped shows for a while. I haven't really been back out again. I'd really like to get out there again. If nothing else, I'm seeing Run the Jewels in a couple months, so that will be good. I've seen them twice before, and it's always a good show. Whoops. Okay. Yeah, that just pops a little better. Yeah, you try and you see what happens. You know what it needs though is a little love. Yeah. Okay. All right. What do you think, fellas? Ladies and gents? All right. Missing two things. Let's put a little bit more texture on these gums. And 23. All right. There's Venom. That was fun. I hope you guys had fun too. Again, trying to be a little more consistent here. You can usually find me on Tuesdays. I'll probably do some more stuff next week. So if you can, tune in. That'd be great. And again, I will be at Cake Chicago the first weekend in June. It's here in Chicago at the Broadway Armory. And I'll be at Heroes Con in North Carolina in late June. And those are the only shows I have right now for the rest of the year. So we'll see if I get any other ones. But right now, if you want to see me in person, that's where you can find me. And if you want to see me digitally, come back on Tuesday. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hope you all enjoy your evenings and stay safe.